Imagine a world where a species so ancient had survived ice ages, shifting continents, wildfires, and millions of years of evolution, only to disappear in silence because of human neglect. Scientists believed it was gone forever. Not endangered. Not critically endangered. Extinct. But deep in the remote wilderness of Australia, hidden behind steep cliffs and isolated valleys, something impossible was waiting to be found. A tree. Then another. And another. Until scientists realized they had stumbled onto one of the rarest living organisms on Earth. Only 60 trees remained. And what happened next shocked the entire scientific world. This is the incredible story of the world's rarest tree, and how humanity nearly lost it forever. For decades, botanists believed a prehistoric tree known as the Wollemi pine had vanished millions of years ago. Its fossils had been found in rocks dating back nearly 200 million years. That means this tree existed during the time of dinosaurs. It stood on Earth before humans, before mammals dominated the planet, before entire mountain ranges formed. Scientists classified it as a relic of a lost world. A fossil species. Gone forever. Or so they thought. Then, in 1994, something extraordinary happened. A park ranger named David Noble was exploring a remote canyon inside Wollemi National Park. This area was rugged, isolated, and incredibly difficult to access. Steep sandstone cliffs surrounded deep ravines that very few humans had ever entered. It was the kind of place where nature still held secrets. And on that day, nature revealed one of its biggest. While descending into a hidden canyon, Noble noticed something strange. The trees around him looked wrong. They didn't resemble anything he had seen before. Their bark looked unusual, almost like bubbling chocolate. Their leaves had a unique arrangement unlike common Australian trees. At first, he assumed it might simply be an unfamiliar species. But something about them felt ancient, different. He collected samples and brought them back for identification. The response stunned everyone. Experts were confused. They couldn't match the tree to any known modern species. Then came the impossible conclusion. This tree belonged to a lineage thought extinct for millions of years. It wasn't just a new species. It was a living fossil. A direct connection to Earth's prehistoric past. Scientists were in disbelief. How could an entire species survive unnoticed for millions of years? And then the numbers came in. There weren't thousands. Not hundreds. Only around 60 mature trees existed in the wild. That was it. The entire global population fit inside one hidden canyon. One wildfire. One disease outbreak. One catastrophic event. And the species could vanish forever. The discovery made headlines worldwide. This was often called the botanical equivalent of finding a living dinosaur. Imagine discovering a Tyrannosaurus alive in a hidden valley. That's how shocking this was for scientists. But the excitement quickly turned into urgency. The trees were in danger. Massive danger. Because once the world learned where they were, people would want to see them. Collectors. Tourists. Poachers. Even a small number of visitors could accidentally destroy the ecosystem. A single footprint could introduce harmful fungi. One contaminated boot could spread deadly disease. The location had to remain secret. Immediately, the Australian government and conservation teams took extreme action. The exact location of the trees was classified. Access became highly restricted. Even photographs and route information were tightly controlled. Only authorized scientists could enter. And even they had to follow strict contamination protocols. They disinfected clothing, sterilized equipment, cleaned boots. Every step mattered, because these trees were more fragile than anyone imagined. Then scientists discovered something even more worrying. The Wollemi pines showed very low genetic diversity. In simple terms, many of them were almost genetically identical. That made them especially vulnerable to disease. If one deadly fungus adapted to infect them, it could potentially wipe out the entire species. The danger wasn't theoretical. Australia had already seen devastating plant diseases spread rapidly through ecosystems. And then came another major threat. Wildfires. Australia's fire seasons had become increasingly intense. Rising temperatures and extreme drought created perfect conditions for catastrophic fires. For the Wollemi Pines, this was terrifying. One major fire could erase a species older than dinosaurs. Then, in 2019, disaster struck. 2019 to 2020 Australian bushfire season became one of the worst fire disasters in Australian history. Millions of acres burned. Entire ecosystems were devastated. Smoke filled the skies. Wildlife populations collapsed. And the fire moved toward the secret canyon. The world's rarest trees were directly in its path. Conservationists feared the worst. A species that had survived 200 million years might disappear in days. Emergency teams launched a desperate operation. Firefighters were deployed. Aircraft dropped fire retardant around the canyon. Specialists monitored conditions constantly. It became a race against time. The odds were terrifying. Flames surrounded the area. Heat intensified. Smoke filled the canyon. Then came the moment everyone feared. Fire entered the Wollemi pine habitat. Many believed it was over, that the species had finally reached its end. But then something incredible happened. Against all odds, many of the trees survived. The emergency intervention had worked. The protective measures slowed the fire enough to save much of the population. Scientists later confirmed that while damage occurred, most of the ancient trees remained alive. It was nothing short of extraordinary. A species from the age of dinosaurs had survived another extinction event. But conservationists knew survival alone wasn't enough. They needed a long-term solution. So they came up with a radical idea. What if the only way to save the species was to spread it across the world? Instead of protecting just 60 trees in one canyon, why not create thousands? Scientists began cloning and propagating Wollemi pines. Using careful cultivation techniques, they successfully grew new trees from cuttings and seeds. Then something unexpected happened. These ancient trees adapted surprisingly well to cultivation. Botanical gardens began growing them. Private growers could purchase them. People around the world started planting descendants of one of Earth's oldest trees. This changed everything. By spreading the species globally, extinction risk dropped dramatically. Even if disaster struck the wild population, the species would survive elsewhere. It was a brilliant strategy. Protect the originals. Expand the descendants. Save the species. Today, Wollemi pines grow in protected gardens across multiple continents. Some stand in private homes. Others grow in research centers. Each one represents a backup plan for survival. But the wild trees remain sacred, hidden, protected, closely monitored. And they still carry mysteries. Scientists continue studying how these trees survived in isolation for so long. How did they remain hidden? How did they endure dramatic climate changes? How did they survive while countless other species disappeared? The answers could reshape our understanding of plant survival and evolution. And perhaps the most fascinating part of the story is what it says about our planet. Earth still holds secrets. Even in the modern age of satellites, drones, and global exploration, nature can still surprise us. There may still be species waiting to be discovered. Ancient life hidden in remote valleys. Unknown ecosystems beneath oceans. Living relics surviving against impossible odds. The Wollemi pine reminds us of something powerful. Extinction is not always final. Sometimes nature finds a way to endure. Quietly, patiently, waiting to be rediscovered. And somewhere in a hidden canyon in New South Wales, a handful of ancient trees still stand. Silent witnesses to millions of years of Earth's history. They survived dinosaurs. They survived ice ages. They survived fire. And against all odds, they are still here. The last 60 trees on Earth. Living proof that sometimes the impossible is real. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, The Science Signal, and don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and family members. Your support helps us create more exciting and informative content for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we truly appreciate every one of you. See you in the next video.